The coffee hit my wrist before the joke had even stopped. Hot, bitter spread quickly. The sleeve of my blouse sucked full, became cold and sticky. I didn't even flinch. Sarah raised her glass. "To Margaret," she said, grinning as if she were the queen in person, showing us that doing nothing also counts for something. The table roared with laughter, cutlery clattered. David laughed along, one hand in front of his mouth, as if that would soften something. The waiter muttered an apology. Sarah just kept talking. I reached for the napkin, dabbed slowly. The linen turned brown. My hand was shaking just a little bit. I folded the napkin once again, pressed her flat on the table. My eyes did not blink. I didn't smile. No one noticed anything. They turned back to their wine. Sarah leaned over to David and whispered something in his ear. He grinned wider. I let the gaze wander. A brass plaque hung next to the lectern. "Preston's and Sons, separate room." I stared at her. My husband's name used to be there. They had scraped it away. I got up quietly. No fuss, no noise, just the chair that scraped a piece over the tiles. David didn't look up. Sarah did not stop talking. "I'm just going to freshen up for a while," I agreed. No one specific, but I did not turn off to the hallway. I went out through the side door past the kitchen to the parking lot. The air was sharp and clean. Under the lamplight, I turned over my place card, took a pen out of my purse, wrote 3 words, folded it once. I put it in the bag next to the red folder, then I turned around and went back to the doors. My fingers brushed over the wet cuff, still damp, still stained, but my hand, it was no longer shaking. I pulled the chair back for myself at the very back of the hall. Half a table fell, no one offered to return a piece. At the back, the caterer's trays rattled, too close. A waiter pushed against my chair. I said nothing, only advanced a little. David stood at the desk, tie straight jaw, tense, smiling like a man who has finally arrived where he belongs. Sarah whispered something to him, then waved to the photographer. A couple of partners stood next to both of them. I wanted to get up. David took a quick look over. "We'll take a family photo later, Mom. This is just for the shareholders." I sat down again slowly, deliberately. The water glass was almost empty. I gazed after. The slice of lemon skewed untouched. I brought the glass to my lips. My breath fogged it up before I drank. The laughter got louder up front. Sarah raised her hands. Like a conductor, the next round was led by applause. I watched her enjoy it. The handbag was open on my lap. The edge of the red folder looked out. A leaf had slipped forward a little. I squeezed it juice back. One corner remained visible. Beneficiary owner authorization. 67%. The paper was not new, slightly bent. "Read more than once." David clapped along. He did not look back. I turned the folder a little, put my fingers on the envelope. Not tight, not tense, just calm, as if I had to feel that she was still there and as if she had to feel that I was still there too. Sarah had the microphone now. David laughed again. Louder this time. He leaned forward, shone in the light. I lowered my hand. Then I opened the folder only to the extent that I could catch my breath, only to the extent that I knew it was still there. And I stayed silent, but not because I couldn't think of anything. I put the key in the lock. He jammed. One more time. Left, right, nothing. The castle did not stir. I stared at the doorknob. My doorknob. The same brass handle, the same little scratch from when David had scratched against it with his satchel. Still there, still mine. I knocked. No answer. Then the side door squeaked. David came out, cell phone in hand, very loose. "Oh, hello. Yes, I'm sorry, I just wanted to tell you. We changed the locks." My hand sank down. "For your own safety," he added. "You said you couldn't handle the stove anymore. Do you remember?" He smiled, as if he was doing me a favor, as if this was a nice gesture. "I have already brought your things to the guest house. Everything you need is there." I looked past him. Through the window I saw my armchair, my books, the lamp with the crooked shade. I picked up the key, turned it once in my hand, then I went to the porch disarmament and put it there. He did not clink. He just stopped. David said something else. I didn't hear it anymore. I already left. The guest house was not far, but the silence was huge. There was a light burning inside. The bed was made. There was a plate of fresh fruit on the counter, untouched, staged. I sat down at the small table. The chair wobbled slightly. Then I pulled out the phone, scrolled past the messages, past the photos, opened the folder from the estate lawyer. Unread messages. I wasn't typing at her, I was just staring. They had not been forgotten, they had been kept. Quietly, deliberately. I pulled open the drawer, took out the thick cash book. First page. Share transfers.
Preston Beteiligungs GmbH.
I smoothed the paper, took a pen. David once told me that I had better keep a book. I did that now. I was standing right in front of the door. Lights dimmed, voices sharp. Sarah was talking confidently and briefly again. We are restructuring by the second quarter. New branding, fresh capital. Once we get rid of the old lady, we can show agility to the investors. No pause, no shame. Simply factual. David said nothing. He just nodded. I pressed a hand against the wall. Let the words arrive. I didn't flinch, not this time. Someone asked if the legal department had given the green light. Sarah said they were just cleaning up the last contaminated sites. Old load. That's what I was now. I took a step back, slowly settling silently on the carpet, continued to the sitting area at the end of the hallway, took the folded newspaper from the table. Page 5. Corporate takeovers blunt and brutal. I circled the headline with the pen, folded the page, put it down again. I didn't take the newspaper with me. Some messages work better if you let them lie. When I turned around, a young woman came up to me.
End of Vank.
Floral white blouse. He was not part of Sarah's group. She slowed down, looked me straight in the eye and said, "Good morning, Mrs. Linnebach. Not Margaret, not Madam, isn't it? Can I help you?" Then she pressed something into my hand. A USB flash drive, not a word. She just kept going. I held it in the palm of my hand the whole drive home. In the guest house, I sat down at the kitchen table, pushed it into the old laptop. A folder opened. No password, no label, just one word. Record. I haven't opened it yet. I was just staring at the screen, holding my hand steady, whatever was in there. Someone wanted me to hear it, and someone else fervently hoped that I would never do it. I put the folder on his desk. Not a word, just the red envelope, tightly closed. He looked at him, then at me. "You've kept it all these years?" he asked. I nodded. He pulled open a drawer, took out a second folder, older, fatter, with my husband's initials. The corners repelled, red-lined, labeled supplementary order, emergency management. Her husband never trusted board elections, the lawyer said. He knew how quickly this could happen. That's why he deposited a clause. He turned the page, showed me the passage, my name. The date, the transfer authority, the GmbH. "You have full control," he said.
Unter 4% hält bei Linnebach Strategie Holding.
I said nothing. I did not blink. I took the folder, pressed it tightly to me, once briefly to the chest. My exhalation was short, quiet, barely audible, but everything in me moved to its place. He leaned back, looked at me, as if someone was returning after a long time. "She kept you up to date, didn't she?" he asked. I did not answer. He smiled. The young intern. "What's her name again?"
Linna.
He nodded. Her aunt was her secretary. Good wife. I looked at the supplementary will. Still warm from my hands. Still real. Then I looked into his eyes. "Can we get this over the stage quietly?" He did not hesitate for a second. Granted. Outside, the wind picked up. The trees moved as if they had noticed something. I stepped into the hallway and opened the cell phone. Designed by Lena. No salutation, just a line. "Tell me when Sarah's next talk is coming up." Send. Then I stood still and waited, just to feel how it felt to rule the room again. I came in with a tin can in both hands. Old metal, light blue, edges ground round. You only keep a can like that if it means something. The reception froze when they saw me. Second. Then the mask. "Mrs. Linnebach, do you have an appointment?" "No," I said. Just visiting. I just kept going. The door to the conference room was half open. Sarah was standing at the head end.
Silky attitude.
She saw the cookies. How sweet, she said, voice extra high for the whole room. But this is not a parents' evening. A few polite laughs. I smiled back. Calm, friendly, as if I had brought more than just pastries. No, I said. It's not. I turned around, went to the other end of the hallway, found the janitor at the supplier's entrance. He pushed the cleaning truck. Do you like short crust pastry? He blinked, nodded. I opened the lid. He took 2, without hesitation. Real butter, I said. He grinned. I thought so. I sat down on the bench by the elevator. Quiet, waiting for her. There was a security camera moving in the hallway. Very easy, enough to remember it. They had seen me. They didn't expect me. I slowly stroked the lid with my thumb. Barely visible inside, but deeply imprinted.
Margarete Linnebach.
The same initials that used to be on every report of this company. The hallway taught itself. Sarah did not come out. Neither did David. But a whisper went through the house. I felt it. In the evening at the guest house, I opened the laptop, scanned the supplementary will again, checked the digital scan, signed timestamps. Then I opened an old email address, one that I had not used for 4 years, attached the document. Type a single line. Don't release it until I tell you. Send. Then I closed the laptop and smiled. Not for anyone, not for showing, just to check if I still could. I entered the boardroom and walked on. David half rose. Mom is just watching. Then he said quickly and waved his hand, as if I might get lost otherwise. Chairs moved back, glances darted. Sarah was standing at the head. Let's get started, she said. Today I present the merger with Strumore Equity. Fast growth, good looks, more investors to trust. Click, slide, count. Words like leverage. Synergy. Exit. Strategy.
Let her talk. I let her finish.
Then I lifted a finger. Actually, I said, I'm here to vote.
Silence.
David blinked.
You what?
I sat down, put the purse on the table, took off the gloves. Slowly, the stamp inside shone up in the light. Linnebach Holdings, control power of attorney. The same seal that you had seen earlier when my husband was sitting here. I have the votes for 67% of society, I said, with immediate effect. The secretary looked at David, then at Sarah. I pulled a sealed envelope out of the folder, pushed it over the table. Session transcript. Prefabricated. No one stirred. Sarah stared at me as if I had risen from the dead. David stared at the wall. I looked at the chart that Sarah had printed out. Clean, ambitious, confident, based on numbers that she thought belonged only to her. Please continue, I said, folding the gloves. Sarah didn't do it. The secretary reached for the envelope. David cleared his throat, but no words came. The chairs are creaking. The room throbbed. I put my hands folded on the table. Not trembling, not nervous. I had rarely felt so calm and rarely heard so. I took the same chair, the same corner, the same table, but this time I did not sit down last. The wine was poured. The plates came. The room hummed with imposed looseness. Sarah lifted her glass with the same mocking grin as then. Some people just come to dinner, she said loud enough that everyone could hear it. A few cautious laughs, as if everyone was waiting for permission. I raised my glass. Mocking is fun, I said calmly. Do you want to hear mine? All heads turned. I own 67% of your company. I took a sip. Slowly, smoothly. You're fired.
Silence.
Complete absolute silence. No falling forks, no embarrassing cough this time. Just silence. Sarah blinked. Once, twice. You what? I nodded to the wall. The personnel manager stepped forward, folder in hand, pack thicker, already signed. Termination without notice. For a good reason, I said. Immediate effect. The security guard will escort you out. Sarah did not move. David said nothing. I finished my drink. My hand remained calm. The glass did not shake. I got up. Chairs were pushed back, this time to make room for me. No one stood in the way. No one called my name. I walked through the middle of the hall past the table where I used to be the joke. Outside, the valet service opened the door without me having to show the note, and I went on. I entered. The door slammed shut behind me. Sarah's name tag was gone. Desk empty, wall to wall. There was no trace of her voice, no scent of her perfume, no remnants of the empire she had imagined. Just silence. My phone vibrated. David, again. I didn't answer it. The voicemail was flashing. I tapped on it, held the phone to my ear. I didn't know she was going to go that far, he said. His voice was slow, tired. Mom, I don't know. I pressed delete. No second listen. No answer. I turned to the closet, opened the second compartment, reached behind the folders. The frame was still there. David, 7 years old, red shirt, peanut butter in the corner of his mouth, a hand on the dog we haven't had for a long time. I looked at it for a long time. Then I put it carefully in the drawer, locked it. The lock clicked like a dot. I took the cup from the desk, still warm, walked through the hallway, past the polished glass walls and flashing screens. No one looked at me. Not because they didn't see me, but because they finally saw me. I stepped out onto the porch. The air moved fresh, familiar, and I drank the first sip. I gauzed the coffee. Steam rose on slowly and cleanly. No trembling, not a drop next to it. The cup had a quirk on one side. White, plain, no saying. Didn't need one either. I turned off the jug, sat down. The chair creaked once. Outside, the sea murmured. I closed the cup with both hands and pulled it close to me. Exhaled through the nose. Deep, calm. My hand remained calm. My breath did not stop. No one called from the next room. No phone rang, no calendar beeped, just the quiet gurgling of the liquid. I leaned back, let the spine feel the chair, let my name sink into the silence. Next to me on the table was a folder, new vocation, foundation board. 6 names, 1 signature, mine, the same name you tried to delete, the same hand that had trembled earlier. I lifted the cup, drank the first sip, let it lie on the tongue, let it stay. No bitterness, no haste, just warmth. And if I'm not a person, why is there still my signature on every page?
Monsieur,